Let's read some Glitch in the Matrix stories. Hi, I'm Jess. People call me Auntie Matrix, and I read your weird, unexplainable stories. We're going to do this a little bit different this time. So instead of me showing one story in the back and green screening it and just reading that story, I am going to kind of do what I do in my lives, and I'm going to scroll through randomly in my inbox, pick a story, and then we're going to read it. I'm going to do that several times, so we're going to get several stories in one video, and this video is going to be longer. Then you can let me know in the comments which of the stories was your favorite. Also, if these are any of your stories, please feel free to identify yourself in the comments. Here we go. Scrolling. Possessed mom. When I was 12, my dad got transferred to another city, so we had to move, and there were stories about the house that we were moving to being haunted. But you know, just like every other family in a horror movie, we brushed it off. After living there for 5 to 6 months, something weird started happening to my mom. Like nothing too spooky, but one time my father was out on a business trip, and that night I saw my mom leave the bed. I still used to sleep with my mom. She went somewhere, and I assumed that she was probably going to the bathroom, but when she came back, she was kind of acting weird. Like her eyes were open, but there was no emotion in them. It was like she wasn't even awake. I even asked her, "Mom, where did you just go?" Then she snapped and looked into my eyes with literally no emotion and just said, "Go to sleep," in a low, kind of scary tone, and I swear I almost pissed my pants because she would never talk to me or my siblings in that tone. Scared, I covered my face with a blanket because ghosts can't come up to you under your blanket, you know. But I couldn't sleep after that, obviously. So after some time, I peeked out of my blanket to look at my mom, and she was still staring into nothing. And when she noticed me again, she said, "Go to sleep." I immediately covered my face with the blanket again, shaking like a leaf, and I think I fell asleep after some time. Next morning, I asked my mom why was she acting like that at night, and she said she didn't know what I was talking about, and just joked about how there's actually a ghost here. I brushed it off thinking it may have been a dream or something because she said she didn't remember, but this just started happening once or twice every week. She'd get up and go somewhere in the middle of the night, coming back, staring into nothing, emotionless, and whenever she'd notice me, she would just say, "Just sleep." And I just do that. And she'd again have no recollection of it in the morning. Oh my God, what's happening? This went on for months, and I tell my siblings about it, but they would just laugh it off, saying I'm trying to scare them or something. Thankfully, after some time, my dad got transferred again. In his job, he gets transferred a lot. So we left that house, and this never happened again. I know, because even in that new house, I'd get up at that time around in the night to see if my mom was still like that, but she'd just be in her bed sleeping. At first, I just wanted to brush it off, thinking that she might have been sleepwalking, but she has no history of that. Plus, it didn't make any sense how it stopped right after we moved into a different house. I don't know what it was, but it still scares me sometimes, and mom just laughs it off thinking I'm joking. Oh my God, that's creepy. Back to the inbox, and we're scrolling. Glitch in the Matrix, my best friend's dad saved our lives, or we jumped timelines. This story is from March 2017. I was going through a bad breakup, and I was spending a lot of time with my best friend. She would come pick me up from work around 10 p.m. and we would drive about 30 minutes south down to the shore and go hang out on the beach for an hour or so. We lived in New Jersey, so this wasn't anything out of the ordinary, just something for kids to do. One night we're coming back home, and she had asked me to drive her car because she was too tired to drive. It was also nighttime around 3 a.m. and I was better driver than she was, as she had bad vision. Well, I had 20/20, so this wasn't unordinary for us to do. She ended up falling asleep while I was driving, so I put on some music to listen to quietly while we made our way home. A song came on that I wasn't so fond of, so I glanced down to change the song, and when I did, we had hit a patch of black ice on the parkway. The car spun out and I panicked. I realized I had lost control of the car, and we began sliding around the lanes on the parkway. I started to scream, which woke her up, and I very distinctly remember that we were going to crash into a guardrail, and I knew it wasn't going to be good. She woke up and screamed, "Dad, I love you." Once she realized what was happening, her father had passed away years ago, and then everything went white. I thought for sure we had crashed and died. When I opened my eyes, we were stopped on the shoulder, and the car was in park. There was no crash, and she was still asleep in the passenger seat. She woke up that second and saw my face and asked me what happened. I told her that we had just hit some black ice and almost crashed, don't you remember? She had no idea what I was talking about and told me to just be careful driving and went back to sleep. I have no idea what happened, but I truly believe we either jumped timelines because we died in that one, or her father had intervened and saved us. But to this day, I still have no reasonable explanation for what happened. And we're scrolling. Disembodied voice. When I was a senior in high school, I would go to my best friend's house after school most days. One day we were up in her room and we were the only two people in the house. Her mom and dad both worked out of town and her siblings lived 30 minutes away. We were laying on her floor pulling out our homework from our bags when we heard her front door slam and we heard her mom holler her name just as clear as day. My friend hopped and ran to her door hollering hello back, but there was no reply. She looked at me with a weird look and then looked out the window to see if her car was in the drive. It wasn't. We were freaking out, so we called her mom at work, which was half an hour away, and she answered the work phone and verified that she wasn't home and was still working. We went downstairs and checked and locked both front and back doors. We went back upstairs, and about 20 minutes later, we heard the door open, so we figured her dad was home. We were on edge though, so we both kind of tiptoed down the stairs to see who it was. The front door was wide open, but the driveway was still empty and there was no one in the house. We freaked out, grabbed our stuff, and went to my house. Every time we were in her house after that, we completely spooked, but my friends said that they had never had anything happen after that. I will never forget that afternoon for as long as I live. Scrolling. Finally, a glitch to share. So this one happened today. Ooh, okay, for reference, this was sent on March 22nd. For background info, I have 2 daughters and I'm a single mom. My girls are Violet, who is 5, and Rose, who is about 7. I bought them their winter coats a while back, and they're the kind that have a smaller jacket that zips into the bigger, thick coat. Violet got a pink one and Rose got a blue one. Violet's jacket that zips into the bigger coat is like pink and gray camo, while the one Rose got is just solid light blue. I wrote their names inside the tags on both coat and jacket when I first got them, which is important to note. Distinctly remember only writing each name twice, once in each jacket and once in each coat. Since it's warmed up a bit, they've been only wearing the jackets to school. This morning when I took them to school, Violet went to put her pink jacket on. I looked back and noticed a pink camo jacket on the floor of the car, so I said, "Wait, don't put on your sister's, yours is right there." She stopped and looked at me and showed me that she was putting on her pink camo jacket, but there it was on the floor too. I grabbed them both thinking maybe she brought one home from school mistaken and thinking it was hers, but they both have her name written inside on the tag in my handwriting. I have them both and I'm confused still. I would love to see a picture of that one. We're scrolling. Old woman or devil? One day when I was in high school, I spent the night at a friend's house. We decided to be bad teenagers and sneak out. Not too far from where she lived is her dad's cabin. Her dad hadn't been there in years and she had the key, so we decided to have a small house party. 2 of my friends took something they shouldn't have and were hallucinating. Around 3 a.m., we decided to go outside and get fresh air. Bad idea. One of my friends started acting very weird. He started praying in Spanish and asking God for forgiveness, which was weird. I knew Fernando spoke Spanish, but he turned completely to Spanish. He then tried to nail himself to a 2x4 as if he was trying to crucify himself. As soon as we finally got him to stop, he told us that the devil was nearby. We laughed it off because he was on something. Don't do drugs, kids. He then looked at us in a very serious face and said, "Why are you laughing? Just look, she's right over there." We all look and there is an old woman with long gray hair sitting in a chair with her back towards us. Mind you, 2 people were hallucinating, but the rest were not. I am a chicken when it comes to that kind of stuff. I always need to be in my right state of mind, so drugs are a no-go. Same. We all decided to go closer when all of a sudden it then looked like a goat with red eyes as we got closer. Why we kept getting closer, I have no idea. Once we got up to it, it was a lawn chair. What?